So setting boundaries. Setting boundaries is part of what happens in your terms, but then also making sure that you are upholding those boundaries, right? And you have to establish this stuff in the beginning, right? So Peter said not after 7 o'clock. You're gonna discuss your availability with your client. This may be in your terms, or it may be something like the first time they email you after 7, it's an opportunity for you to say, hey, you know, I work from 9 to 6, Monday through Friday. I try to keep a large chunk of the day dedicated to client work, and I'm typically off email. So like, I'm not gonna be emailing you all day. I'm actually working, you know, and we all know what a distraction email is, right? If you need anything, text me, right? And we can set up time for us to talk. So this is what I prefer. This is why you're not gonna hear back from me, you know, immediately. And this is what works for me. You know, it's always a negotiation. They can come back and say, look, like you know, I'm not a texting person. You know, I want to be able to call you. Like, is that going to work for you? Or, you know, or something like that. Preferred communication channel, right? So how are we going to talk about our work? So, you know, email is the best way to get a hold of me. Since we'll be looking at a lot of options during our meetings, let's use video chat. That way we can screen share and do pinups easily. So if you want to talk to me, send me an email. But when we are doing meetings, I'm working remotely, I want to see you, right? And I want to see you for these reasons. This is what has worked for me in the past. This is what I think is best for how to guide you through this experience, right? I'm gonna deliver something based on what you've asked of me, but you're kind of in charge of not only managing yourself, but managing your client through this process. Yeah. Method for communicating. So everyone thinks their project is the most important. I think you've all had this experience, right? And even if you've ever hired anybody, I don't know if anybody's hired, you know, an interior designer or like a plumber or, you know, even anything. It's like, no, like I need you here tomorrow at 10 or whatever that is, right? So, you know, another good thing to do is establish your method for communicating progress. So how are you going to let the client know what's going on? Now you're the project manager again, and you have to think so that your client doesn't start wondering, like, hey, you know, like we talked 2 weeks ago and I haven't seen anything, you know, from my designer, and they might start feeling doubt or, you know, confusion or at least curiosity about like what's going on. You are a business whose service is design. You're selling a service, right? And you know, you can have a bad experience. You can need your shoes repaired, right? And the shoe repair can be absolutely great, right? Like shoes are perfect. And the person who helped you was not good, right? You're never gonna go back to that shoe repair place, you know, or you might not go back, or you might write a bad Yelp review or whatever, but it's gonna be this disassociation between the fact that, you know, the service was good or the product was good, but the service was not good, right? So that's why you wanna set these boundaries up front, because you wanna manage your clients' expectations, make them trust you, have them feel that that they have confidence in your work, and they're gonna ask you a lot less questions along the way. So, you know, one way to establish a method for communicating progress is to say, I write weekly recap emails. That's what I do. At the end of every week, I'm just gonna tell you where we're at with things. You know, if you have another way you wanna do this, let me know. And then you can decide, like, is that something that you want to do? You know, do you want to have daily check-in calls? Is it that kind of project? Do you want to meet 3 times a week? You know, are you working off-site? Are you working remotely? But you decide, actually on Mondays you're going to go into the office. And that's one of the things I didn't mention from before, which is I think even if you're remote, it's great to go into the office from time to time. It's just FaceTime is a really important way to establish rapport with people and trust, and also putting yourself in the context of the employer, putting yourself kind of in their world is also really important too. So, you know, I know this kind of fantasy of working in pajamas from home is very alluring, but it's also important to break through that wall sometimes, and you'll see benefits in the working relationship.